Yes.
And you're ready to go.
Are we up on YouTube yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Well, let's call the meeting to order and Chair, let's recognize a moment of silence. Thank you. Do we have a motion of approval of the minutes from January 27th,
Move
2000?
for approval.
Properly moved and
Second.
seconded. Any question on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Down to item E, acceptance and dedication of rights of way. E1, marshes on Daniel Island, phase 1 and 1A and 1B. Who's going to address that?
Mr. Chair, this is Tim Keene. How are
Mr.
you?
King.
I'll do that. And as the clerk mentioned, this is correctly identified on the agenda. Phase 1A and B of the marshes on Daniel Island. And this is for dedication of those phases, the public streets and easements. The packaged information is from what was on your agenda last month, but it's the same process. This is actually for the marshes on Daniel Island, however. So we are proposing to, as you probably know, this dedication process is a lengthy one, and they've completed it now for phases 1 and 2, 1A and B at the marshes. So we're recommending it.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Keene, on this? Hearing none, what's the motion?
Move for approval.
Probably moving seconded. Any question? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item E2.
I'll
Accept.
take those as well.
Good deal. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I may be off on my agenda.
This is
This one. This is actually, I think Matt or Steve will take this one.
All right. Mr. Fountain?
Yeah, I can take this one, Mr. Chairman. This is just the relocation of a drainage easement from the final configuration of the Sphinx project along Wildcat.
Okay.
Just acceptance of that easement just being relocated slightly from the way they built their final pond.
What's the pleasure of the committee members?
Move for approval.
Properly moved and
Second.
second. All right. Any more discussion on that? All in favor, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Temporary encroachments. Anything unusual, or these are pretty much in the norm, Mr. Fountain?
I'll take those, Mr. Chair, and nothing unusual here. We, as you know, we get quite a few of these temporary encroachments, and these are typical of those ones that we process.
Okay. All right. That's just normally for information only. All right. Public service updates. We don't have any this month?
Just that we finished the Big Belly installations, and they are working on the installation of Hay Road sidewalk, which should be wrapped up here in the next week or two.
Good deal. Mr. Alto, I want to thank you again for that speedy delivery on Daniel Island. Very much needed trash can.
No problem.
H1, Forest Acres Drainage Improvement Project Update.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I share my screen, just give a quick update on a few of these projects?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, I think you might be slightly familiar with this project.
I think I am.
So this is just an overview of a major capital project as we have substantially completed and are just working through some final punch list items just to refresh the committee on a successful effort. This was phase 2 of the Forest Acres Drainage Project for those who aren't as familiar with the area. Phase 1 was this in yellow, was this West Ashley Bikeway work that was performed. Most people I think are familiar with the Bikeway. That has a major drainage system kind of next to and under it in different phases of the bikeway or next to different portions of the bikeway. This is Playground Road coming through the project here in Highway 61. phase 2 of the Forest Acres project is the red section. So it extends from the tie-in to the bikeway. It included a section of playground road, and then the canals as they split and go on both sides of the apartment complex here. One side connecting up to 61 for drainage, the other side connecting to this neighborhood. It's about a 230-acre drainage basin for improvement. It's about a $10 million construction project by the city over a 2-year period. Quite a bit of coordination work with the closures to Playground Road and the impacts to the bikeway and the community. Stretch that into a longer time frame to minimize those impacts. About 4,500 linear feet of canal, just under a mile. Again, for that 230-acre basin. This is kind of an aerial photo of what we're talking about as well for the area, Sanders Parks and Playgrounds facilities here. So again, I'll keep this relatively high level, but pre-existing conditions for the project was an existent major drainage system that actually at one point had a small pump station that CWS had provided an old pump for that they no longer needed. The city had added that pump, tried to pump across Playground Road where there was a major AT&T duct bank that kind of had resulted in a smaller pipe installation. Never worked as well as it could have. The city had done a design years ago before phase 1 with Thomas and Hutton come up with a pathway that no longer needed any pumps, which is much better for us for an operations and maintenance cost perspective and performance perspective. Again, kind of what the conditions look like before Playground Road. Some of the canals, this is the pipe crossing actually under Playground Road. You can see the kind of the smaller pipe culverts and then some of the other crossings. Quite a bit of construction work continued for the 2-year, $10 million effort. You can see box culverts going in. This is actually the new culvert that went under Playground Road, much larger in size and scale. Canals were worked on. New pipe and drainage was installed along Playground as well as a number of utilities being moved. And then moving into final conditions of the project, you can see we basically built a fully engineered system very similar to what you see along the bikeway. Pinch points have box culvert as well as sections under roadways here, such as what you see coming under Playground or at the end of the project. Open sections of canal are open with a full maintenance shelf next to them, so we can continue to do maintenance and keep everything in excellent condition. Kind of what the aerial photos look like of the area. You can see now the canal extending through. This is the upstream side of the project area. We've come back and installed fencing, which you can see in some of the video, some of the photos along all of the residential properties in this upstream section of the project. Looks really good. We've had it go through a few major rain events already. Huge improvements to flooding in the immediate areas to the canal. We'll continue now to build out the maintenance of the drainage systems in these neighborhoods to tie more efficiently into the improved conveyance system. I think really successful project, one that's had great support from the community. Councilman Waring's been a strong advocate and helped us with a lot of that community interaction. Very successful. I think, Mayor, we're going to be talking with the outreach office about scheduling a ribbon cutting as well once we have some of those punch list items cleaned up and finished demobilizing the contractor. But the system is now at full functional performance, and we just wanted to highlight that for the committee.
Wow.
I'll say we came in $1 million under construction budget from some value engineering work early in the project. So worked out really well with the contractor, who is Gulfstream, did a great job with us working through some difficult issues, and Thomas Nutton being an excellent engineer on the project as well.
Mr. Fountain, thank you for that explanation. And I got to tell you, the people in this area, Mr. Mayor and council members, they speak about the awesome improvements that this drainage project. The part that you see, you can see a little bit of exposed water behind St. Andrew's building there. The water would rise behind, that's right, the water would raise up behind these people's yards, go underneath their homes, into the street, over to the left, and over into the next yard. So it would not only flood houses, it would flood the street and then go over into the even into the yards across the street. And none of that's happening anymore. I mean, it's a hallelujah time over there. Okay. That's the way to put it. I think, Mr. Mayor, you came over a time or two and spoke to them and kind of helped ease through some of the fencing issues over there, which I appreciated very much. Because some of these people have been there, 40, sometimes more years than that. So these are long-time occupants or residents of this area. And they've seen it the worst, but certainly it's never been better than it is right now. So thank you all for funding this project, working with the people, helping, being patient as they went through all the detours and aspects, and being without some of the recreational areas. And it's just been a victory all the way around. Praise and salutations to all. Thanks a lot on that one.
Well
I had
done.
black hair when this one started, Mr. Mayor. But no, that's what
I
service is all
handed it
about.
off, right?
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did. And when we needed help, you were right there helping it out. So, we all in this stuff together. But I'll tell you what, isn't that wonderful to hear that it came in under budget?
Yeah,
Man, boy, great work, Mr. Fountain and team. Thank you.
absolutely.
All
Thank you,
right,
Mr. Chairman.
Sandhurst, okay,
Yeah, moving on, if you're okay, Mr.
H2.
Chairman, to item H2.
Right.
So this is an approval of a emergency repair contract. This is the Sandhurst neighborhood along Sam Rittenberg Boulevard. This is the cafeteria and Ms. Rosa's and a couple of other commercial shops. That area drains back kind of through a series of pipes across Westminster and then through a 12-foot wide rear yard drainage easement that's a buried set of 30 to 42-inch pipe, depending where you are, that comes out into the marsh here. That system is something we've actually been looking at for a potential new system to be installed in the future. We'd originally had a design looking at, could we completely abandon this system because it's so hard to access in those rear yards. There's no entry point that allows heavy equipment back there. The calculations show that we really can't abandon that realistically without a significant increase in cost going to large scale box culverts to do the new drainage system work, where we can stay with pipes if we avoid abandoning that line. Unfortunately, that line is partially built out of corrugated metal pipe, which is why we were trying to abandon it. And it's obviously in a salt environment, so it's rusting and has significant holes. We've had some severe flooding on Westminster in hurricane season. We've been working the last few months to get pricing from contractors who are able to do basically CIPP, which is cured in place pipelining, where you don't need to actually dig up the pipe and try to work in that 12-foot easement, which is basically physically impossible without sheet pile, which is incredibly expensive. So we did get a price back, very reasonable price, $178,000. We'd like to move forward with that with emergency authorization to line that pipe, get that existing pipe functional while we work through the capital project to eventually add some additional flow capacity. The pipe does at least provide some level of drainage. It just doesn't prevent any flooding. We need to get another larger system in the future to do that. So this is again 520 linear feet between 30 and 36-inch diameter corrugated metal pipe, cured in place lining, emergency repair.
Chairman, move for approval.
Probably move to the second out there anyway.
Second.
Okay.
I should mention, Mr. Chairman, we do have funding in a small project allocation left for this for the lining in case that was an option. So this is funded within our existing budget.
Wonderful. Let me ask a question. How are you getting access? And these people.
So the CIPP, basically they're able, we cleaned it with vac trucks. You're basically able to bring in like very small scale equipment, mostly man access, and you come down through the system and generally you almost inflate like a concrete sock inside the pipes, and then that cures in place to become the liner. So rather than having to dig up the pipe, you're basically just adding a new liner inside the pipe.
Okay.
So it's what they call like a trenchless repair, where you're not having to dig anything up. So it prevents that need for bringing heavy equipment back into the that rear yard system.
That's great. All right.
There will be some access points, but it'll be more foot scale and very small equipment.
All right, good deal. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Down to miscellaneous,
I
miscellaneous.
think we have 2 more items, Mr. Chairman, if that's.
Oh, you're right, I'm sorry. Rebellion Road, well, I wanna get past them. Okay, Rebellion Road,
Yeah, and these last 2 should be very quick, Mr. Chairman. Just quick updates on project starts. Rebellion Road is another outfall cleaning that we're beginning. You can see Rebellion. This is in Councilman Pell's district.
Right.
Rebellion has this is the color coding of elevations, has a low area in this corner here, holds a significant amount of standing water. Basically, this outfall, you can see the marsh outfall, and the photo is just occluded to where it's accreted so badly there isn't ability for water to flow. We've got a contractor. It's one of our small project allocations for the year. Have our contract in place, and we'll be starting work on that. So if anyone gets reports of us working in the marsh in that area, that is a small project allocation for this calendar year moving forward.
Okay. Any questions on committee members? Is there a motion?
So moved. There's nothing to, it looks like it's just an update.
Yeah, this one's just an informational
Right.
update. It's in the
Okay.
existing budget. It's under the threshold for council approval.
You're right, my, as we said. Okay. H4, how,
Yeah, and this is the last item here,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Again, this is on James Island, Howell Avenue. Maybank Highway would be to the north, Central Park to the south, Stefan Drive here, area of heavy flooding. This is a project where the county and city had acquired Greenbelt funding to buy the piece of property you can see at the end of Howell Avenue. That was accomplished with the intent of converting it over into stormwater storage. We came up with a design at the city level for basically, like, and I'll show you in a second, a meandering stream through the site that can flood the rest of the project. It is a passive park when it is not flooded for the citizens in this area to use. And then it has bike and pedestrian interconnectivity from Howell down into the right of way here that eventually ties to Fleming. So it provides some interconnectivity, which is part of the Greenbelt application request. This is a great example of kind of 2 jurisdictions working together, and that both of us applied for the Greenbelt collaboratively. The county will actually be hauling out the construction debris that was dumped as backfill into this old borrow pit to create the property a number of years ago. So they'll be doing that. The city will be hiring the contractor to fine grade the property, plant it, provide the box culvert crossings for the bike and pedestrian connectivity. And this is one that we've mentioned before because we were successful in getting a National Fish and Wildlife grant for this project for $1 million of funding towards that construction effort. So most of the construction effort will be covered by that grant funding, in addition to the Greenbelt that we had for property acquisition and the approximately $200,000 worth of work the county will be doing on the hauling of the debris. That project should start clearing for initial survey flagging and then full-scale construction clearing in the next couple of weeks. Project scheduled to be complete this fall. So it's a very quick turn project. So again, just giving an update. Well, we've done flyers for the community, quite a bit of update information on what's going on. This is sort of the rendering again of how that will look with the water meandering through the project, some plantings that are native grass and water tolerant, and then that bike ped interconnectivity into the kind of the boardwalk through some of the wetlands and down to the next right of way. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Gregory, I see your hand.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure the folks on Howe Avenue are extremely happy. My question has to do with a small project, and it's the Halsey Creek. We noticed some equipment over there on St. Luke's property. Does that mean we're about to start on Halsey Creek?
So that project is not yet at outfall cleaning, Councilman Gregory. That one is in permitting, but not yet at cleaning. We do have the section behind the church that we already maintain that's not part of the next level of outfall cleaning. So they may be working through that, just refreshing that maintenance in that area outside of the vegetation.
Some folks in the neighborhood would like to meet with you, Matt, as we move forward with the creek.
Okay.
And I'll try to get that together offline later on.
Yep, that sounds great. Yeah, we're just starting permitting on the first of the two halves, and then the second half would be next year for permitting and cleaning. But that's a good time to talk and discuss about it.
Okay, we'd like to do it on site.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any final questions on that update? Thanks a lot, Mr. Fountain. Now, I-1, miscellaneous business. 200,000 for Rosemount.
So moved.
Probably moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion needed on this? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. I-2,
So moved.
a professional services contract for 200,000.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I just have a quick question on this one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it seems like this is, I guess, could somebody just give me an overview of like what the scope is for Robinson versus like the comprehensive integrated water plan? It just seems like a lot of sort of duplicative work.
No, I think it's, I hear you and I can understand that. I think this is maybe more to take it to the next level in terms of schematic. I mean, the comprehensive water plan gave us some, basic understandings of what we can do. It was pretty high level, particularly when you look at the stuff kind of around the city. So where I see this going is kind of a combination of efforts between engineering and resiliency, and helping us determine what's feasible, what's realistic, to kind of drill down to determine, put price tags on this versus just some dollar signs. I'll be honest with you, it's a little bit of an experiment. We went back and forth with Robinson Engineering. I think they're a good small local company that knows this area pretty well, did a lot of work on Church Creek, and was pretty impressed with what they did over there. So I think this could be very productive on figuring out both immediate fixes that we can do that would help augment the efforts of our stormwater department that are busy, very busy on dealing with, like we heard, emergency situations, complemented with the kind of long-term approach that Black and Beach is doing, right? So this is kind of here and now, can kind of be a jack of all trades. We frankly need a lot more engineering help internally versus, having studies and third parties. So this is going to be kind of a go-to that's going to augment our efforts on staff.
All right, thank you.
Call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
I had
Aye.
a question.
Okay,
Chairman.
I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand. Council Lady Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am, from what I understand, I mean, this contract did not go through procurement. So what's the point of having a procurement policy if we're just going to dole out $200,000 contracts? I mean, I understand some of the reasoning behind it, but I just don't think this is how we should do business. I mean, if there's needs that we have that aren't being met in our stormwater department, whether it's regulations, whether it's guidelines, I mean, we've been working through some of that, but I'm a little taken aback that we're just, this came to council on ways and means. I mean, how many other items have we had come across our desks that didn't go through procurement? That's what I'm a little disappointed by this specific contract that we're not giving, I mean, if we're going to give someone a contract, I mean, we do it the way we do every other contract, right?
Yeah, I respect that. And I'll take a responsibility for it. Again, this was originally a position that was going to be a staff position, but finding an engineer, particularly a well-versed engineer in the community and our proves very difficult. And so figured we could outsource this to see if it was a function that was very beneficial. And in terms of the quote sole sourcing of it, this is unique. It has a lot of, there's no specific immediate need. And if we don't end up needing it, or it doesn't prove to be beneficial, we wouldn't do it again. We wouldn't reauthorize it next year. So I appreciate the uniqueness of it. But that's the reason why it's coming this way. I don't think we do a lot outside of the procurement process at all. And in terms of it going to Ways and Means first, that was my fault, and is why we've pushed it back to here to Stormwater, and then it'll go to Ways and Means, and then it'll go to Council. So I think that's an appropriate process, just given how this is, again, somewhat of a unique structure.
Follow-up question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So again, from what I'm gauging, from what I've come to understand, the person or the company receiving this contract, has projects going throughout the city, is somewhat known, or so they say, that they can navigate our process well. So again, what are we hoping to, what is the end goal here for spending this $200,000? And is this a year contract?
I believe it is for a year. We can, that's the intent on it. And again, in terms of the specific scope, the idea here is to look at a whole host of different projects, a lot of which have been identified in the water plan, other ones that are kind of ongoing kind of needs that we know through stormwater, but that haven't gotten full engineered. It's things like the bio corridor that we're looking at doing and providing nature-based solutions there that isn't like a full-blown, we don't need full-blown engineers to come on and do a full design there until we kind of vet it. And that's not something that, while our engineers in-house could do that, they're extremely busy right now on all the other stormwater and flooding issues that we have. So the idea was, again, to augment our efforts to date and bring some real engineering expertise in here. And if there's any sort of conflict between work that this firm is doing, I think that we can certainly navigate that. I mean, I know all the engineering firms that we deal with on a pretty regular basis, for example, several of them are providing reviews, stormwater reviews, plan review, while also doing projects. And so there's ways to make sure that there's no conflict there. And I'm pretty comfortable that we can do that. But bottom line is, we need help. We need a lot of help when it comes to engineering for flooding, for stormwater, because, as we all are aware, it is a growing problem. And
you did say it's sole source, right?
Well, again, we didn't do an RFQ. I'm not really sure how exactly we would write the RFQ. Again, this is kind of evolved, as I said, out of us looking to hire somebody that we have not done on the resiliency side of things. So that's what kind of this stemmed from.
And this will fall under stormwater. Will this be under Tim Keen's section?
This would, in all likelihood, be under Tim Keen's section, but it was really initially thought to be more of resiliency, which is technically under Logan. But because this is going to be working so closely with stormwater and engineering, I think it makes sense to be over there.
That's why I asked the question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Park, I still see your hands. Any final questions or input?
Well, I've got plenty, but I won't share it right now. No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, the ayes have it. I do have a question. I see Mr. Somerville on here, kind of like Mr. Gregory's recently. I see silk fencing up along Ashley Hall Road. And I just asked you not too long ago about lane extension. Is that a signal that this is a lane extension on Ashley Hall Road project beginning?
Don't know off the top. I will have to double check. More than likely, it's a DOT project. So I'm
Okay,
happy to check with them and get back with you, hopefully tomorrow.
good deal. All right, listen, thanks a lot. Any final questions or input from committee members?
Yes, one, Mr. Chairman, if that's okay, since I heard Mr. Somerville.
Okay, all right.
And
Ms. Parker?
and Mr. Fountain too. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we have some great, I think, we have there's a repaving project, SCDOT it's underway on Secessionville Road. This is an area that poor Mr. Fountain knows very well, that I've asked repeatedly, for help getting the ditches, the brush cleared. If there is anything that your department, Mr. Fountain, or your department, Mr. Somerville, can do to, just really insist, but in a nice way, if SCDOT can simultaneously kind of clear that brush, it's becoming much more dangerous as it's the overgrowth. But now that they're doing that repaving project, it would just be a great time. So if there's anything that y'all can do to sort of hint to SCDOT, that we would really appreciate it. I would appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, Robbie, I think the legislative delegation's already on that one as well. Councilwoman Parker trying to encourage SCDOT to do both of those things at the same time, and we'll continue to support that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Any final comments? Hearing none by acclamation, we stand adjourned. Look forward to seeing all of you all tomorrow.
See you then. Bye.